Welcome back to another episode of your Digit Hustle News. As always, I'm Wade Teamer. Today, we got the consumer price index numbers, and pretty much inflation is definitely inflating. Now, the markets responded pretty quickly to this. Crypto market cap is up 4% since this morning's announcement. Social activity following suit, social volume sitting at about 7%. And the number one altcoin being talked about today is actually Phantom. But if you look a couple notches down, you'll see that Veracity has also creeped up into the top 5 as well, guys. Now, if we take a quick glance at the charts, it also gives us some good news. The daily RSI is starting to peak above that 20 moving average ever so slightly. So, the markets are looking pretty decent at the moment. This is a small piece, though, to a much larger puzzle that we are going to attempt to put together today. A CBDC report from the Fed is around the corner. One that the Fed chair says will allow for stablecoins and CBDCs to coexist. In addition to this, an FDIC bank consortium has just been formed that will be responsible for interbank transfers in the United States. Now, all while this is going on, the Stellar Development Foundation has launched a new account model. This will allow for an expansion to its network capacity when it comes to payments. It's right here where we're going to start this episode. Now, this new upgrade is referred to as muxed accounts. Okay. Pretty much, this will essentially allow for multiple accounts to be registered to one address, a feature that has been in the Stellar ecosystem since 2020 and has gone through rigorous testing throughout 2021. Now that it's public, this means that, and we'll use MoneyGram here as an example, that a MoneyGram can set up a central address that will store the information for a multitude of customers. Now, if we pair this with Starlight, Stellar's Layer 2 solution that will allow for over 1 million plus transactions per second, we can begin to see why, while they're doing all that fussing in Washington, Stellar is already preparing the solutions. Case for Ripple, of course, is a bit more complicated, but they are no doubt an important piece to this puzzle. Their biggest obstacle right now is the SEC. However, recent information has reached the surface that will give us a potential timeline of events. Now, full disclosure, guys, the information that I got this from, the source, is courtesy of Link2. You can see this is my legit email address, but they conducted an interview with attorney John Deaton. And in the interview that we're going to watch here in a second, he is going to detail a potential timeline and some things for us to expect from this case throughout 2022.
Could this be stretched out if it ends up going the distance?
If it goes the distance, the trial would be June.
Okay.
The trial would be if you get past. You asked worst case scenario, so you asked worst case scenario for timing. Ripple files a summary judgment motion. The SEC files a summary judgment motion, and the judge decides that a jury must decide those facts. That there's a factual determination that needs to be met, and the jury is the fact finder. And so there would be a jury trial, just like there was a Connecticut jury trial. I don't know if you saw it, but there was a Connecticut securities jury trial about 2 months ago, and the jury found against the SEC in the trial and found that it was a digital asset of some sort, that asset was not a security. If that happens, then of course the SEC could appeal the decisions of the judge, but at that point there'd be a verdict for Ripple. Then you would think that that the exchanges could relist, etc. But that would be summer. You know, I'm thinking the summer, because I don't see a summary judgment actually being argued until April. And if she takes 30 days to decide, that puts us in May. We're actually probably looking at July or August, to be honest with you. So I would say I would say worst case scenario is September for a jury trial, but it's probably August. If the judge could also, that was the worst case scenario on timing. If the judge agrees with Ripple and says that as a matter of law, the SEC did not provide adequate notice to know that XRP was an investment contract, then that could be over in April, right? So I wasn't saying worst case scenario on that stuff. Just if
I just want everybody to have their horizon. You know, it's like there's so many people out here, 65,000 XRP holders that are part of your suit, and all of the Ripple private equity holders. I mean, everyone needs to know what's the horizon look like. So it sounds like between April and August, we're going to have a resolution.
So with that, I think we now have a bit clearer of a picture of when Ripple and XRP are really going to emerge in this payment narrative. It's clear that we are moving ever closer towards digitization. To further prove this, let's go back to the story of the FDIC Bank Consortium. Going over to their website, we can see that they have carefully detailed their backstory. But it's when you dig a little bit deeper and you read over their consortium pitch deck, Section 8 details how to join and deploy the USDF. Down in a little section at the bottom, that's where I found the most interesting details. It states that banks have the option to self-onboard or use third parties to integrate their ledgers to the USDF. Simply, this means that the banks involved with this consortium have the option to use DLT technologies or blockchains. By the way, they've already started to lobby US regulators. As of now, none of the banks in the consortium have ties to any banks that we have spoken about before. However, it is a bank in New York that is spearheading this initiative. And depending on who you ask, the New York Federal Reserve banks tend to have jurisdiction over any surrounding banks, especially with FDIC relations. We have learned so far that the transformation is indeed happening, and it's happening on a geopolitical level. On the other side of the coin, we have the technology infrastructures being set in place, sometimes by the exact same players. This brings us to Hedera Hashgraph, which we know is working with the Federal Reserve and has the DLT capabilities that the US government will be looking for. But that's not all they're up to. A UK firm has utilized the Hedera blockchain for its drone technologies. In a trial that took place between April and October of last year in Scotland, the trial used sensors to track the drones and record flight data. Each flight created about 1 million data points, which, according to Neuron, only Hedera had the speed to log in the correct order. With sponsorship from the UK's Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, the trial successfully demonstrated safely tracking drone flights once out of sight, improving their ability to go longer distances. But their goal, ultimately at Neuron, is to use this technology in other mobility applications, including air taxis, autonomous vehicles, and ground robots. In a quote from the CEO of Neuron, he stated that, "Until now, drones have had limited benefit for governments and private enterprises because they cannot be flown safely out of line of sight and therefore could not be used for long distance deliveries, transport, or inspections. With this trial, leveraging Hedera's consensus service, we have made unmanned long distance drone travel possible using safety critical aviation infrastructure. Each flight creates millions of data points, which no other public ledger has been fast enough to log and correctly order. By leveraging the Hedera consensus service, we can gather, store, and order this data immediately, giving us a real-time radar system for drones." Now, guys, I'll admit sometimes when I get immersed in this digital world, I often feel like I'm peering into a reality that only exists on screen. But this clip I'm going to leave you with comes from my local news station. The piercing shop that they mention is literally a mile away from my house.
And have you ever thought about being able to unlock your car or pay at the store just by waving your hand? Well, a body piercing expert is bringing that to the future in Lansing with a new product. Josh Sanchez is here for you with a look at chip implants.
I went for, I guess you could say, my final piercing apprenticeship at a shop, and I was there, and things were not progressing the way I wanted my career to go.
Tefera Lanier goes by Hades in the artist community. In February 2021, after selling nearly everything he had, Lanier opened his shop, Flesh, in Lansing's Old Town District.
With this shop comes a lot of innovation. So I'm trying to innovate the entire body art industry when it comes down to body piercing and bring it over to enhancements.
Lanier was interested in technology, so he combined it with his love of body modification to come up with this.
I felt that it belongs in the body enhancement industry. It is an enhancement. The future will be based on it.
The implants with RFID and NFC technology can be connected to smart devices, and it can act like a virtual wallet. The implants are not completely new. Employees at a company in Wisconsin were voluntarily chipped in 2019. Lanier says it's as safe as getting an earring.
Infection rate is minimum, depending on who you are, depending on if you take care of it. That's with any piercing or any enhancement done to your body.
The implants will run around $200, and Lanier says he's excited to be the first to offer them in Lansing.
I'm here at a time in life when this was unheard of, when it was just movies as a child, you know? So now to see that this is actually a thing that's happening and I'm a part of it, it's historical.
If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this information with friends and family. If you're new to crypto, I have links to the most notable exchanges in the description. Using the links below supports the channel and comes with special bonuses for members of our network. For more information on the new economy, check out the playlist related to this episode on the right and our most recent episode on the left. As always, have a great day, have a prosperous day. Most importantly, we making this money. I'll see y'all in the next one.